Thanks so much, Jess, and congratulations to Vitality. They've managed to pull one out of the bag. Chance, you predicted they were going to be able to take this. What going into this match, what was it about Vitality that made you think they were going to be able to come out on top?
Exactly that. I knew that their search and destroy game was going to be better than eRa's, clearly, because that's the expectation going in. No, they just had a great performance, right? Like, we've seen teams, well, Mind Freak is obviously the best example, who at the start look weak but get better as time goes on. Vitality's in that exact same boat, right? Like, the practice they're going to get over in Europe, there's what, maybe 2 teams? Like, it's Red Reserve and Splice, but outside of that, the competition falls off quite a bit, or maybe Unilat as well. But once they get those North American scrims and play against the top teams consistently, nonstop, and especially on LAN as well, the expectation is for them to get better. So early on, it was their search and destroy that was good. Their respawns were weak. They got the respawn that they needed.
Massive win, though, on the desk for everyone except for Merc.
You picked them too.
Hey, as long as you're not winning, everyone on the desk is winning. The king has fallen. The 100% prediction, it's over. It's over. Let's jump into the Gibraltar that sealed Merc's fate. Merc, what happened here, map number 1?
My fate? I'm not on eRa. eRa lost. I don't play for eRa. No, I think map number 1, I think the player who really stepped it up was Malls. When you saw them struggling in Hardpoint yesterday, it was him. You know, he had, what, 1 kill for like 3 to 4 minutes on that St. Rue Dumont. But Gibraltar, they really stepped it up. Another slow start for eRa Eternity. They do bring it back. They rotate both times. I think the big thing is both held their hills 3 and 4, or sorry, 2 and 3, and then Vitality, they absolutely destroyed on turret. That gave them the sort of extra edge to close out this game.
Yeah, I will say, just to kind of be hard on Vitality a little bit, some of the rotations were really, really slow, especially from hill 2 to 3. There's a point in time where they had 3 players that literally got stuck in cave for the first 25 seconds of the Castle Road hill, and that's just like, it was 1 or 2 players from eRa that were just slowing them down. Like, they weren't trying to go quickly with the bait and switches, and at a certain point, you just got to commit to something. But outside of a few slow rotations, I think Maul's even said it best, when you just outslay your opponent by as much as they did, it's going to be a comfortable win.
And now we're going to take a peek at the box score as well. And you can even see really back and forth here. Each team excelling at a few of the different hills, but kind of flipping it back and forth.
Yeah, I think so. I think the big one here is turret. Typically, you don't see that big of a lead early on, but as you said, 2 and 3, they were trading effectively. One team would rotate. They would be able to lock down the spawns. Maybe neither team too good at breaking those hills. Maybe they have some things to figure out, but really, Vitality, the way they were able to set up on turret really helped them win game 1.
Now, before we started actually even doing this recap, Chance, you said you wanted to talk about the S&Ds, so let's do just that. We'll jump into map number 2. What was it about the S&Ds that really caught your eye?
Yeah, it's honestly big plays from Xerox, right? It was the round where he gets the ace that kind of, well, turns the game around for Vitality and gives them at least the opportunity to get the win. And frankly, I think it was just a lot of bad challenges coming out from eRa. So I'm sure we'll see it at some point, but it's literally like Xerox gets the first kill on a guy on the sandbags behind the radio tower. Here it is. The second guy challenges for no reason. That's an easy gunfight. Decimate was already 1 shot, and then Xerox doesn't move. Now, granted, that kill on Bevels, that's just Xerox being nasty, but even the final guy just walks into his pre-aim and dies the exact same way that every teammate before him did. They already had the bomb down. They can back up. Like, Xerox has to come to them. In situations like that, it gives Xerox the full streaks, and that's what they used to get themselves to that round 11.
Yeah, you talk about a round that really changes the entire game, and that was it, right? He's able to get those streaks. That forces eRa, well, they have to rock mountain. You know, Vitality, they use those streaks effectively. They get a couple rounds on the board, and then in round 11, they were able to close it out.
And quite a lot of big plays happen in this one, and one of the most important is actually going to be our play of the game presented by Scuff. And this is when Vitality comes up absolutely massive.
Yeah, you're going to see here that Whalers, he's able to earn these streaks. 3 players on Vitality, they go on a bit of a flank. 1 just baits out. That allows Whalers to get these streaks. You can see now it's a 2v2. They're just playing the time. He's going to try and guess when they're planting that bomb. He guesses correctly, picks up that kill with the fighter pilot. Now a 1v2 for Decimate. They know exactly where he is because, again, you know, eRa, they did not expect Vitality to be able to earn streaks in that round, so just a great teamwork round out of Vitality.
Yeah, and again, obviously massive props to Whalers. He finishes on the 9 streak, and give props to Decimate as well. He played this 1v2 as well as he possibly could, but getting double challenged is nothing you can do. But the streak that Whalers goes on at the end is only possible because of Xerox, him getting the streaks early on, because that kept forcing eRa in bad spots 2 rounds in a row. So again, Xerox going huge, eRa taking some bad challenges, again, just blew that game completely open, a game that should have been eRa's.
Very well-deserved play of the game coming out there, but when we look at this box score, you can obviously see neck and neck. We go all the way to that round 11. Things change when we get to map number 3. This one was somewhat of a blowout, Joe, when we actually did get to that CTF.
Yeah, capture the flag. I think just from the start, eRa Eternity really turned it on. Again, this is a team who we've seen match to match. They kind of come out of the gates starting slow, and that's definitely a trait you don't want to have. You want to get to the venue, at least try to scrim a different team, sort of get warmed up, but finally in Game 3, their Slayers really started to step it up, really decimating Bevels, and that's what we talked about in Capture the Flag. Those two have such a high impact on this game mode.
Yeah, and I think Balls, again, at the interview kind of hit the nail on the head just a little bit of like, you lose that first flag, and that's going to force your play style to be a little bit different. You give up streaks, now things are just going to snowball, and the gunfights you have to take are going to get worse and worse and worse. But again, holistically, when you're getting outslayed just by every single person on eRa, there's really not much you can do. But again, props to Decimate, had a pretty fantastic game. Bevels wasn't too far behind, so yeah, eRa just looked good on this map.
Yeah, and we see a little bit of a sign of life coming out from Vitality towards the end. They're able to get this final cap, but the damage had already been done.
I know, you know, Vitality had a super close game against TK on Flat Tower yesterday where, you know, Theory just got into their base, got great timing and got that cap, but I'd like to see them play something different. I just don't know if Flat Tower really works for this team. If Flat Tower, it's so small, it relies so much on slaying. I'd like to see them maybe try an Ardennes Forest. I feel like guys like Whalers and Mauls can really step it up on that map.
Yeah, we'll have to see in the future if they do decide to make any different choices in the veto process. But we got a few more inside of this series. This one definitely did go the distance. Now we're jumping into that second hard point. This one is on Ardennes Forest. What was the story here, Chance?
The story, again, I think eRa just kind of let the momentum ride a little bit from that flak tower, and something I'm actually pretty curious about, and I wish I could speak French or, you know, just talk to Xerox at all, really, but even in the search and destroy, he has pulled out any number of different guns, and I kind of just wish I understood the strategy behind that. But either way, the situation here, very, very similar to what we saw in Flag Tower. It's eRa gets off to just such a nice early lead that Vitality, they're just in too bad of a spot to really be able to make the comeback. Yeah,
I think that was one of the most interesting things, not only in this game, that when we were watching in the green room with Clint as well, it was like, okay, bar. Just the guns getting switched up constantly.
Yeah, the big thing though was eRa won 2 rotations to bunker. They were able to push that out 91-1. And again, I think the big difference maker for Vitality is you didn't have the slaying of Mauls. He just wasn't there. He wasn't able to pick it up. And on Gibraltar, you sort of saw him take it over. In game 4, he had a slow start, decides to pull out the bar, picks up a bit of momentum, but overall it was just too slow for Team Vitality.
So we end up entering map 5 all knotted up, and this map 5 S&D is going to take place on Ardennes Forest, and you were excited about this S&D as well, Chance.
Yeah, because I mean, we've been piping eRa up as like a really good search team, and I think what we kind of learned is that they're great search players, but as a team, they got quite a ways to go, because there's so many situations where they just get tunnel vision. Like, they get locked into a certain lane and they just give up part of the map. And it was Riskins who exposes it in 2 separate occasions on defense. He either goes for the full flank all the way around from Bell, or he just goes through fire, cut to you, and just makes the big plays.
Yeah, I thought that round 3 was really the difference maker. So it was 1-2 Vitality. Mauls almost clutches a 1v3, and then you can see it goes 4-2. Pharaoh earned streaks. I thought the game was over. However, there was a couple of rounds where Pharaoh gave up mid. He decides to try to flank. Well, at that time, Vitality, they flanked themselves. They're able to close that round out. So I think eRa, communication again, they're just leaving too many lanes open, and then just great teamwork. A great shot as well out of Riskin, but great teamwork from them overall.
And ultimately, we're going to go all the way here to the wire, Chance.
Yeah, no, I mean, even this final round for Vitality, it turns into a situation where, again, I think it was Xerox who's kind of mixing things up a little bit and just catching eRa completely off guard, who flanks around nice with the STG of all weapons and just gets a pick on a guy who's not even looking in the correct direction. Like, so many of the gunfights, he's shooting people in the sides or in the backs, and it's just eRa hasn't been paying enough consistent attention to the correct things.
And I love that last round, right? That round number 10 there, attack. What do we typically say on Ardennes Forest? If you're going to attack that, you know, sort of cabin bomb site, players like Chino, they love to sit on those head glitches. Just smoke them out. Be able to push the spawn, you know, get those stuns on them, get those nades on them. There's so many great positions for the defensive player. Use some smokes, use some concussion nades. It's an easy way to put pressure on them, and they were able to catch out Pharaoh there.
Vitality manages to get their first win here, but that is just the start of today. We have plenty more matches coming up.